Time for Keys to the Game against the Chargers in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And there are a lot of things that have to happen for the Cincinnati Bengals to knock off the Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers. When they were the San Diego Chargers, every time I see those uniforms, I think freezer ball, and I start to get a little chill. That game lowered my thermostat for the rest of my life. I can tell you that for sure. Being from the East, always were able to handle cold weather. Not as easy to do anymore. But keys to the game in this one. Obviously, Justin Herbert is a beast. 6'6", 238 pounds, runs a sub-4 640. This guy is the real deal, legitimate. Arm talent extraordinaire. I was watching NBC's pregame show a couple of weeks ago, and Drew Brees, who's going to be wearing a Hall of Fame jacket, was marveling at the arm strength and arm talent of Herbert. He said that he's the only quarterback he's seen that can 10 yards down the field, his ball goes to a tighter spiral with more acceleration. He goes, he's never seen a guy to throw the football with as much velocity and accuracy as Herbert. Coming from Drew Brees, he's been around a long time. He's seen a lot of quarterbacks. The key is sometimes he throws the ball too hard. The Chargers lead the league in drops. There's been a lot of tip balls. Comes in hot from Herbert and balls tipped, airborne. You've got to take advantage of those. You got to get those. Sometimes because he's throwing the ball so hard, if he doesn't get the release point perfectly, it'll overthrow a little bit. Got to get those. When he gives you an opportunity to make a play on a football as a defense, you got to do it. You got to make a play on the football. He's thrown 10 interceptions, so I mean he can put the ball in jeopardy a little bit, and you're going to have to capitalize when he does. The thing about him, though, I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson, but this guy, I want to get his stats right. He's the second leading rusher on the football team. 243 rushing yards, 5.7 yards a carry, 36-yard long carry on the season, and he's rushed for 2 touchdowns. And they don't really use him in the design quarterback run package. A lot of that is scramble yards. So this guy gets out of pocket, he gets on the perimeter, and he extends and creates with that big arm he's got, and with his ability to run the football, he's a load. So what you have to do is you have to contain him. You have to keep him in the pocket with 4 rush guys in their lanes. Don't go chasing sacks. Don't try to be a hero. Stay in your lane and don't run by him. Don't rush past him where it gives him an easy lane to take advantage of, either to step up in the pocket or to run the football. Mush rush is what I like to call it. Everybody stay in their lane, get in front of him, form a picket fence. At 6'6", obviously he can see the football field. He's got that advantage to see over the rush, but quarterbacks don't like tight quarters. They don't want to be able to, they want to be able to, when they follow through and release the football, not worry about a hand hitting a helmet or stepping on somebody with their feet as they're striding. Just give him some traffic to be concerned about. Get him off his spot. Get him uncomfortable. And if you hit him and sack him, that's even better. And that's up to the H-boys. Now, you get a 4-man rush, the interior of the pocket. A lot of these sacks that Hubbard and Hendrickson are getting, they're getting them because the defensive tackles are getting enough push where a quarterback can't step up in the pocket. And therefore, they're a sit and duck. And those edge guys feast and take advantage. So get that push from Ogunjobi and Reeder. And then on the edge, get the H-boys going. These guys have combined for 17.5 sacks. 10.5 sacks for Hendrickson, tied for 6th in the NFL. He's got a sack and a club record 7 straight games. And his 10.5 sacks, it wasn't a deal where he got 5 sacks against a fish, somebody that was a big mismatch. He is consistently getting a sack or 2 sacks or a sack and a half. A sack in 7 straight football games. Hubbard's got 7 to complement him. He's tied for 19th in the NFL. You have your edge rushers are both in the top 20 in the National Football League in accumulating sacks. So a big key, the H-boys harass Herbert. That's a lot of H's. Hubbard, Hendrickson, harass Herbert. That's what it's all about right there. That's going to be a big, big factor in this football game. It starts first, though, where you earn the right to rush the passer by controlling the running game. And Eckler is a stud, a good football player. There's no doubt about it. He's got 7 touchdowns rushing. He's rushed for over 600 yards. He's 17th in the NFL in rushing. 1,077 scrimmage yards, though, seventh in the NFL, because this guy, as a running back, has caught 51 passes for 473 yards and 7 touchdowns. So he's a complete running back. He can run it and score on the ground. He's done that 7 times. He can score by air. He's done that 7 times. 14 touchdowns. Joe Mixon's rushed for 11 and caught 2 touchdown passes. He's got 13. So which running back is going to be controlled? You got to make sure that Eckler is controlled on the ground, though. You know, if he gets check downs and you leverage him and tackle him, that you can live with that. You can't let him get off in the running game and make it easier for him to run more routes. And I'll tell you what, Keenan Allen, this guy's good for 100 catches, 1,200 yards a season. He's had 95 catches in 4 straight seasons. That's unbelievable. 4 straight Pro Bowls. He's already got 81 catches this year. They're good now. I mean, Eckler, Allen, Williams, big 6'4" wide receiver with 7 touchdown receptions. These guys are legit. So you can't give Herbert a 2-way go. Make him throw the football because he has to, not because he wants to, because there's a successful running game to go along with it. On the flip side of it, the Chargers are having a heck of a time stopping the run. Dead last in the National Football League. They're allowing 145.3 yards per game, 32nd in the league, 4.7 yards a carry, 29th in the league. Capture the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football, just like you did in the second half against the Raiders and the first half against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what it's all about. Joe Mixon in the last 2 games, 58 carries, 288 yards, 4 touchdowns. In the second half of the Raiders game and the first half of the Steelers game, 39 carries, 221 yards, and 2 touchdowns, basically in a 4-quarter span. So get Joe Mixon going, control Eckler, and that'll make it easier for Joe Burrow and make it more difficult for Herbert. Ball security is a factor in this football game. The Chargers have forced 16 fumbles. The Bengals have forced 12. That's knocking the ball loose now. You're going to have to secure that football. The Chargers offensively, they've only lost 2 fumbles on the season. That's best in the National Football League. The Bengals offense has only lost 3. That's tied for second in the National Football League. So which team is going to be able to continue to secure the football because their defensive teams are knocking the ball free? It's going to be a big deal in this football game. In the last 2 games that the Bengals have won, the 2-game winning streak, they've forced 5 takeaways and only had 2 giveaways. They're +3 in the turnover ratio. That's going to win you a lot of games. Red zone. The Chargers, they've been there 47 times, tied for 3rd most in the NFL inside the 20-yard line. They scored 29 touchdowns, tied for 2nd best in the National Football League. But 8 times they scored no points when they got inside the 20-yard line. 8 times, tied for 3rd most in the NFL. That's a lot of failing in the red zone. The Cincinnati Bengals, they're in a good situation from a red zone standpoint because defensively they're tied for 6th in the National Football League, allowing only 19 touchdowns, and their touchdown percentage ratio is 55.9%, 12th. Bengals offensively 70% touchdowns in the red zone. So who's going to score in the red zone? Who's not going to score? The Bengals have scored no points in the red zone just 3 times. They've forced the opponent 5 times without any red zone points. On the flip side, the Chargers have not scored points 8 times. They've forced the opponent with no points 3 times. They're -5. The Cincinnati Bengals are +2 in that ratio. That's a big deal when you get in the red zone. Then finally, finish. Both of these football teams have scored in the 4th quarter. They've scored the most points in the 4th quarter than any quarter during the season. The 4th quarter for the Chargers, 100 points they've scored, tied for 4th in the NFL. The Bengals have scored 102, 3rd most in the National Football League. The Chargers, though, have given up 101. They're -1 in the 4th quarter scoring. By putting 100 points on the board, they're still -1. The Bengals allowed 85. That's the most points they've allowed in any quarter as well. So the finish in the 4th quarter is going to be fast and furious. The Chargers have 6 wins on the season. 5 of them have been come from behind wins in the 4th quarter. Justin Herbert gets hot. When he gets hot, you have a tiger by the tail. So the Bengals have done the same thing. They've gotten hot in the 4th quarter. Who's going to finish the football game? Both teams have shown that offensively fireworks can happen in that fourth quarter. Who's going to get it done? Who's going to stop the other team from doing it? Just a few keys to contemplate as the Bengals get ready for another big football game against the 6-5 Los Angeles Chargers.
At First Star Logistics, we're a very strict company that really puts the pressure on our employees. Breaks? What are those?
That's what I'm talking about, Icky. Get the body right, then the mind's right.
Gotta get that body right.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Become a star with a chance to earn the highest commission percentages in the industry as a freight broker agent. Check out firststarlogistics.com.